Hello and welcome to Adventures in Visibility. Today we're going to be talking about live video and video marketing and how you can use it to grow your visibility and grow your business. I'm Denise Wakeman, your guide and host to more visibility on the web. And I am super excited because today I am talking with MaAnna Stephenson of Blogade. And MaAnna and I have known each other for a few years now. We kind of trade off who's client. I'm her client, she's my client. I'm her client, she's my client. We go back and forth because we have complementary skills and can help each other. And I've been watching her business growth for several years now. And I said, you know what, I got to get you on the show because she has just taken off. She was doing great before, but she has just taken off. Her business has really grown. It's exploded in the last year-ish or so, I would say. She'll get into the more details around that. And it's all when she started using live video. Mm-hmm. And that is why she is going to be talking with me here today. This is why I invited her on the show, because I want her to share what she's been doing and why she's been so successful. Because a lot of people use live video, but it doesn't necessarily impact their bottom line. Mm-hmm. And, we're in business here. We're all in business. So that's an important piece to this whole online marketing stuff, is making sure that what you're doing and how you're spending time has tangible results for you. Mm-hmm. So even though, I could have brought in some big social media guru, because there's a lot of gurus doing, live video, I want to talk to somebody who is, like a business owner, just like me, just like you, and see how it works in the real life and not when you have 5 million followers. Mm-hmm. So MaAnna, welcome. I am thrilled to be having this conversation with you today. Welcome, welcome.
Thank you so much, Denise. I am thrilled to be here and share the story with you, share this journey.
Yeah, because it's an exciting one. And as I said, I've been following it for a long time now, and I think now it's time to spill the beans. So I want to lay the groundwork first.
Okay.
Because when I met you, you were doing pretty well, but you were also working 2 jobs. I mean, you had a job with a company that took up more than full time of your life, mm-hmm. and you were doing Blogade kind of in the middle of the night on the side and on the weekends and every spare other moment, and I don't think you ever slept. So you were doing okay, and then you made some big decisions. And if you're comfortable telling us about that transition, I think that would be inspiring for people, for the audience to hear. So if you don't mind.
Oh, no, I don't mind at all. I was an electronics engineer for 30 years. Most of that time was on the road. I'd go out to customer site and fix multi-million-dollar machines that when they broke, they were losing $10,000 to $15,000 a minute. To say that it was stressful is an understatement. And so I also did a lot of volunteer work for over 25 years. And when the internet came along and websites came along, I thought, wow, that would be kind of fun to do. And I started doing websites for the nonprofits that I volunteered with. And, on those boards, all those business people needed websites too. And so that was back in the day when you had to have a coder to have a site. And so I had all the business I could stand with no advertising whatsoever. And that's amazing. How I got started back in the day. And I loved it. I fell in love with it right that minute. And I taught coding. I taught all kinds of things, really behind the scenes with more techie people, because that is my background. And then I started Blogade, which was a sister site to my tech site and my web design site and whatever. And Blogade was more or less, okay, I have a site, now what? And I think that's when I met you, because after, social media got going and whatever, it got to be that having a website wasn't enough and you had to promote. And I've been on that journey ever since, to the point where I got to where I was teaching how to have a successful website. And, it changes. It's constant. But I have to say, in the last 3 to 5 years, it has really ramped up at a level. The change is insane, and the tech is getting to the point where it's like, hey, I'm a tech, but I can translate into non-geek. I did a lot of tech writing for engineering stuff, for the technical repair people and also for end users. So I was uniquely qualified to teach and to teach non-geeks, and that's who I picked as my target audience. And I've been doing that ever since. And, I'm a professional musician. My dad's whole family are professional musicians, played behind Elvis and people like that. I mean, our house was full of people where I could drop names and people go, whoa, really? That was my house when growing up and whatever. And in the music business, I've played in front of 3,000 people. I'm perfectly at home on stage. I was put in front of people immediately and whatever. But when social media came along, if I can present in person, I'm fine. When social media came along, I just bombed. I still do.
No.
I don't get it. Doing it in text and that kind of, that's not how I am. I'm not a fluff kind of person. I don't sell people on hype. I get the work done and that kind of thing. And so I ended up I tried to learn everything I could about it, but honestly, I still suck at it. Even today, I still suck at it. I finally hired a social media VA, and she gave me 300% more visibility than I was getting on my own. It's like, God, I wish I'd done that years ago, and just owned up to the fact that this is something I'm not good at. And then video came along. And I was a guest on HOAs and that kind of thing. I think I hosted one show when it was easy to do. But like you said, I was working 2 full-time jobs because I really fell in love with this. Love training clients, love working with clients. I wanted to make this my full-time job. And I had to build up my business to the level that I could quit the day job. I just didn't have time for the learning curve on HOAs because it was changing every 5 minutes. I did Ronnie Bentzer's site. He's the Hangout helper.
Right.
I did his membership site. I had access to everything that there was, access to him at all times, and I still couldn't keep pace. He could barely keep pace. He was another one of those guys who never slept during all of that. And I really wanted to get into video at that time, but the timing wasn't right for me. But every show I was on, I loved it. Loved it, because I'm perfectly at home here.
Right.
Love
You're a performer. You're a performer.
Right. Love talking to people, too. I talk to people in the grocery line. I mean, I'm just, I'm outgoing that way. I love talking to people. So I really could not get into video the way that I wanted to. My business exploded from me taking it over full time and me growing it and having the social media VA. And I mean, again, I wasn't sleeping. I was working 14, 16 hours a day, to keep up. Periscope came along, and again, it was a timing thing, and I wish to heck now that I'd gotten in on it, at the start, and it's still not too late. That's the thing. It's still not too late, but I wish I'd gotten on there right at the get-go. I probably would have fallen in love with it, absolutely 100%. But again, the timing was not good for me. And then Blab came along, and I said, by that time I was doing, I'd gotten on Udemy, my courses on Udemy.
That's right.
And they wanted a lot of talking head videos, and I'd never done those. And let me tell you what, that was stressful. And I wasted, I don't know how many days getting my setup, buying gear, lavalier mic, I already had professional lighting for my carvings. I'm an internationally recognized wood carver. I already had to take pictures of that. I painted walls so I would have a backdrop and blah, 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 doing all, that was getting teleprompter stuff on my iPad and whatever. It was awful. I hated it. It was just stressful recording it on my phone, having to go look at it online and say, man, look at that. That's awful. And have to go redo it again. And, to be stressed out and then have to stand in front of a camera and go, hi, I'm so, and it's like, oh, it's no matter how you feel. I just hated it, but I did it. And that got me into a process, a workflow, of what, it doesn't matter what you cut your teeth on. Cut it on something. And unfortunately for me, that was very stressful. So I had a lot of setup, and because of HOAs, I had, my camera, I had my mic and that kind of, and Blab came along. And it was what HOAs, everybody was saying what HOAs were in the beginning. It was easy. I had the time. I wanted to break into video. That's the one I picked. I jumped on and fell in love with, I became a Blab addict. As a matter of fact, my promo video was the easiest thing in the world to make because it was off the top of my head. I was truly passionate and excited. I wasn't much reading a script. I had one on that teleprompter for notes, just to make sure I said everything I wanted to say. But the first thing I said was, I'm MaAnna, and I'm a Blab addict. And I want to make you one too, and I really felt that way, and everybody did. I had marathon Blabs, and that was it. Denise, I was so hooked that it turned me completely around.
You're natural,
that's where the journey started. That's where the explosion started. And I learned the power of talking to people live in engagement like this. And I love that you put up this quote, because that's the power of this medium.
Right. Well, why don't we talk about that? Because, you jumped onto Blab because of your experience with creating video in all different formats, and then with your experience as a performer, it really is a natural space for you. I mean, it just really, I've seen you come, I mean, not that you weren't alive before, but you really blossomed, let's say, in this. Yeah. And you started really seeing success almost immediately. Yes. So why don't you talk a little bit about what that success was and how that worked for you?
Well, I'm going to read this quote. It's nothing, absolutely nothing replaces helping folks directly with exactly the thing they need help with in the moment they need it. And I found the power for me is answering people's questions. Open Q&As. I do shows, I did Blabs of how may I help you? And they were just random. And people, back when discoverability was happening on Blab and whatever, people would come on and they would anything, throw it at me, whatever you've got about site success, WordPress, SEO, performance, security, video, whatever it is, because there's a lot to having a successful site now. And part of that is promotion. Part of that's video. That's why it's not all just about WordPress. I have tons of 400 video tutorials, right? I have blog posts out the wazoo and whatever. But who's going to search through all that to find an answer? And so they come on and they ask me a question and I answer it right there. And they're like, wow, that worked. I mean, they're trying it while I'm talking to them. I've done tutorials right there because I've got it off the top of my head. Go click this, go click that, go click this, go click that. And they're like, oh my God, that worked. And, not even seeing the screen or whatever, because look, I've been teaching people for years on this. I can do this stuff in my sleep, right? So, and it worked. And everybody that was watching that Blab saw it work. And that's why it's so powerful. It's what they need help with in that moment in a way they can ask questions, get my attention, ask me about other things. And here's the most powerful thing I think about all of it. Absolute 100% transparency. Either I've got that answer or I don't. And the definition of a wise man is not somebody who knows everything, but somebody who knows where to find information.
As I said, while we're waiting for MaAnna to get back on, I'll just say that the thing about MaAnna is that
did I drop out for everybody?
I can't hear her, so. Okay. The thing about MaAnna is that, oh, there she is.
Am I back?
Yes, now you're back.
I never away. So
what?
For me, I was still live on here, so I don't know. It's being fun. Okay, but it gives me a chance to tell my followers I'm here again.
Yes. Okay. So either you know the answer or you
don't. I mean, it's absolutely, and the definition of a wise man is not somebody who knows every answer, but somebody who knows where to find all the answers. And there may have been some things of, hey, let me look this up. Let me go get that for you. Here's a whole post on it. Here's a video I did on YouTube, that kind of thing. Send them on their way to get the information they need. If it's longer than, if it's additional information that we want to give them. And so I can go in depth with my whole library of information, either be videos or tutorials or blog posts or whatever, and send people, the bigger information. And so that gives me depth right there too. But the other thing is, if I don't know, I'll tell you. I don't know. I haven't done that. I haven't done everything that there is yet.
And one of the things that I wanted to, that I was starting to say while you were coming back on, is that, you test like crazy. You don't just, read something and say, oh, go do this now. You do it thoroughly before you will ever tell somebody else to do it or how to do it.
Right. And looking for the caveats, because what I find, especially with WordPress plugins and things like that, that's a good example. People look at the fashion on the front end of it. I'm looking at the function and the performance and the security and everything else. It's like, well, that's great, but it's a resource hog that's chewing up your site. Right. So, that's where my unique perspective comes in. Is I don't put fashion so far ahead of function that you're going to pay a price for doing that kind of thing. And I've built a reputation of being a straight shooter, telling it like it is, and being honest with people about stuff, as honest as I can be. And what I found on Blab, especially with having that down-to-earth, non-geek speak, talk to people in plain English so that they can get it, whatever, my emails started coming back saying, I saw your Blab on. And Denise, it was immediate. I mean, that when you said about the ROI, I was blown away about just how powerful this is. Every single show, whether it was random.
We keep losing her. We're losing her video.
Am I gone again?
She's still talking?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, she'll come back. Okay. She'll be back. She must be having a connection problem on her end. One of the things that I think is what's so powerful about what MaAnna is doing with the, ask me anything kind of way that she's doing her blabs is that she's demonstrating her expertise over and over and over again, and she's doing it in an authentic, powerful way.
Sorry, and if I'm having connection issues, I'm so
sorry.
All right. Okay, oh yeah, the power of this thing. It's just amazing to me that there was money in my inbox after every show. People wanting to hire me because it's like, oh my God, somebody knows what she's talking about. But that was the power of being authentic. Either I had that answer or not. It's transparent. They're going to see if I'm going to BS them, if I'm just doing hype. They're going to feel confident in the answer or they're not.
Right.
And money would show up in my inbox immediately. The ROI on it was surprising.
Right. Well, and what I was saying,
show.
Yeah.
Not even planned, not even promoted.
Right. And what I was saying is that this gives you an opportunity to demonstrate what you know. And rather than saying, hey, I do this, that, and the other thing, you're showing people what you're doing. You're showing, not telling, as they say. So,
right.
And you're doing it with grace and generosity.
Well, and I get into arguments too. I'll go toe to toe with people, over stuff.
My
because
goodness.
Here's the thing with online stuff.
There's too bad that we're still having so much trouble. But MaAnna isn't afraid of taking on people who she feels are giving incorrect information. She's willing to really, say what she thinks and say what she feels based on her experience. It's all about, she doesn't make it up. It's her experience, and that's what she's sharing.
Well, that's it. There's 14 ways to do anything online. There's no one way to do it. And there's going to be combos of things that work better. And it's not any one thing. And, that's the thing I've been able to hone in on is it's no one thing. It's a combo of stuff or a mindset that's holding somebody back. What's the best plugin for memberships? Well, what do you want to do?
Mm-hmm.
You don't pick the plugin first, you pick your goal first. So those are the kinds of things that I can reiterate and really spend time on saying, getting their questions, getting their feedback, whatever it is, and help them understand. Because, when you read just a blog post or something, there could be misunderstandings. What you mean to say, but the way people take it could be very, or interpret it, could be very different. And when it's live like this, they get to ask questions and we get to clarify, and I can rephrase in another way or take it, a different way. So it's extremely powerful.
So when you started doing the live video, and you're also doing Facebook Live, which we'll talk about in a minute too, but when you started doing live video, were there any challenges that you had to get through, or to make it work for you in this way, or did you just like this just happened like on the first Blab?
When I quit my day job, one of the things that I dearly enjoyed was working in my house shoes, in my sweatpants, in my t-shirt. Some days I don't know that I comb my hair.
I think you're not alone in that, in the work at home sector.
So that was a real challenge too. Gosh, I was just enjoying not having to fix up to go be in front of people every day. And I think working from home, you can really get lazy in that way. And a lot of people, even the coaches, will tell you, dress up as if you're going into the office to give yourself a professional feeling for what you're doing that day and not relax too much. And while I understand that, and don't share so much of your personal life, because, things will happen in your personal life and whatever, and because you're at home, you may not remember that you're not with your friend. And Blab is that way too. It's very intimate and that kind of thing because we're face to face and whatever. And I've seen people share things on here. It's like, hey, this is discoverable in the public, right? And you kind of lose that separation between business and home life, private life, and professional life and blah, blah, blah. And so that was a big deal for me. I don't wear makeup. I'm not a fashionista and whatever, and I mean, not to get too personal with people, but I had to have just a little work done. I've been in a dental chair since my baby teeth started coming out. Mm-hmm. I mean, I've got it on both sides of my family. And so, there are things that I think that was my thing. I think there are things with everybody that they don't feel comfortable with in some way or other. Mine was literally, oh my God, I have to look decent, because it does matter. And I draw a line though, because it's about what's in here.
Yes.
Not what I have on. And that's what people come to me for. And I want to make sure that my non-geek peeps feel comfortable talking to me, because what I do and what I've always had to keep in the back of my mind with my training, with everything, is that it's technical and people are already intimidated. Mm-hmm. And I will go on with my hair whacked out, a t-shirt on, and say, hey guys, I got a tip for you. There's something going on, whatever. And I'll get on and do that, because I become an everyman for them. And because I teach video marketing now, and I've seen you do this too, you are a wonderful coach. I saw you take people who were introverts, scared to death of it, every excuse in the world and whatever, and you took that whole group, and I was in that group at that time, and you took that whole group, and people ended up with shows or people who would have never gotten started, got started. And we all have something we have to overcome. We all have things about ourselves we don't like. Mm-hmm. And I don't think anybody here today, anybody watching this replay, gives a flying flip. And we tend to forget that, that nobody really cares.
I think that like you said, there's a fine line of, what do you want, what do you want the outcome to be? It's like, so yeah, if I'm going to be on video and I'm not out running or something like that, then I'm going to, kind of dress up a little bit, or, put on some makeup, because, I'm a professional and I don't want that to be distracting either.
Right.
And so, but I am way more casual now than I was just a few years ago. I don't even own a suit anymore. I gave them all away. And I used to always wear suits when I was representing myself in my business. And now, no way, because that's not important. I can, and so I think that it's finding that happy medium of what you're comfortable with, mm-hmm. and what the message is that you want to send. So,
I think YouTube, for so many years, YouTube show us funny cat videos in somebody's really messy house.
I'm not into that.
Right. Or you know what I'm saying? I mean, it's so casual. I mean, it's real life.
Yeah.
And I think YouTube becoming so popular has just brought the level down a little bit about what people expect. Mm-hmm. And plus, I'm a geek. So I can show up in a polo shirt or something and get away with that, too. And people don't expect fashion and slick. Everything I do is the exact opposite anyway.
Right.
Not to have it slicked up, to be the mechanic. I'm not the sales guy in the car shop. I'm the mechanic you really want to talk to. And I can come out greasy, looking and whatever, and it's okay because I'm in character.
Yeah, because I just came out from under the hood and your little wrench there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm in character, for what people expect from me, that it's a very grounded, very real, very honest kind of thing. And so, fortunately for me, that works.
Yeah. And I think that that's kind of the takeaway that we want to have here, is that not only do you have to, be able to impart your expertise and, with your message and how you serve people, but you also have to be comfortable yourself. And, for people who've said to me, oh, I can't be on video, I'm ugly, I'm fat, nobody wants to see me, whatever the reason is, it's, the thing that really changed my perspective around that, and this was like in 2005 when I did my first horrible video, is that people want to see people like them. So this is who I am. This is what I look like. This is how I dress. Except when I'm running, then I really look not so nice. But I'm all sweaty and my hair is standing up.
That's reality.
Right.
My dog will bark or something will happen or what. I put him in a video the other day because of it. And, we can talk about Facebook Live if you want to.
Sure. Let's go.
Doing that journey. When that came along, I was already hooked. I was loving it. I couldn't wait. They gave it to me on my app and then they took it away. And I was like, no. And I kind of freaked out a little bit because I was I took to it immediately, I don't know that I like it as much as I like Blab because I like the interaction and conversation.
Yeah.
But and it is a different mindset talking to a phone. It's just like, I really liken it to playing in front of a live audience compared to being in a studio, recording studio. And I hate playing to mics. I love playing to an audience because their ear is a lot more forgiving than that mic is. But same thing here. But I got over it. I'm used to doing it. I think you can hear my dog now.
Yeah.
That's life. That's going to happen and whatever. But so, or glitches in the stuff, and you got to go with it. But I think well on my feet. Now, one of the things about Facebook Live, and I'm still working through my workflow. I teach a class on that, and I'm still adding to it as I do more of them. I did a challenge for myself to be on there every day. I couldn't hold that, and I said, I'm the only one doing this. I don't care if it's every day or not, but I need to be on there every day that I can. Like I may take one day off or something. Right. I really am trying to get on there so I can get my workflow going because I want to teach people, here's your checklist. This is how it works. And I'm seeing what can happen. And Facebook is changing as it goes and whatever. So it's keeping current with it. But the main thing is what I decided I really loved about being on my phone instead of the camera. And the reason I'm not trying to do the camera thing and whatever is because I can vary my background. Because honestly, when it plays in Facebook, and Facebook videos changed how I do my tutorials, my YouTube tutorials, because they're silent until you click them. And even when I was doing a screencast, I don't sit there with the screen stationary while I'm talking. I'll put words up. And watching my videos silently made me change how I make my videos. Facebook.
In what way?
That I put words up there while I'm just, if it's going to stay there on the screen and I'm not actually, I keep it in motion. I keep something moving. I keep it visually entertaining. So with Facebook Live, what I noticed was I had this really plain background. I took my backdrop off. I had this forest and I have a black screen and this is just a wall. But, I took it away because we won't get into why, but varying my background, not being stuck in one place. And I decided I loved my phone suddenly. And now when I look at my playlist and whatever I have, and in that stream I've got on, and I'm wearing, more personality shirts
Mm-hmm.
They're not wild, but I love Hawaiian shirts. I just love them. And so I can wear more personality shirts that get attention
Mm-hmm.
where I'm not, but varying my background. And then the custom image that I show is not, because
Right.
that is just that after a while you get about 10 of those and it's like boring. And so I had one the other day where I'm pointing to Zach over the back. I had him up on the couch on the back where he loves to be, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
sitting there and I have him and I'm pointing to him. That was my screenshot, because it's like, well, what's the dog talking about? What's the dog
Right.
doing? And of course you never work with animals because they steal the show, and he did, of course, but that was the point. Today, the promo I did for this, I stood in front of my carvings that are interesting.
Right.
One of
I
them's a
know that.
naked lady,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
whatever. It doesn't matter. My backdrop, I was outside. You inspired me to go outside, and do them. And you travel around to pretty places, and that's a great time to do yours.
Yeah.
So, I think Snapchat, that's another one. I'm sorry, Denise, I know I'm just going off, but Snapchat has just boggled people. They've boggled marketers completely. And I think here's why. Because it's for fun. And they can't bring all their marketing techniques and everything in there. And, that's what I'm doing with Facebook Live. I decided, let's be entertaining. Let's
Mm-hmm.
and I am, you see, is when I get turned on, I get higher energy, and that comes across, and my passion for it, and it's all contagious, and I'm having a good time. It
Right.
imparts having a good time to other people, and you have really inspired me with your adventure. And that's what all of this is, and it's all about experimenting and trying new things, whatever, and having fun with it.
Yeah. Well, okay, let's go back to the ROI piece. And you talked about how your email. You start getting email as soon as the show's over. People are watching the replay, that sort of thing. Do you have specific calls to action when you're doing your Blabs and your Facebook Lives? Are you saying go right now and sign up, or how's that working? How does that work for you?
Right. On my Blabs that I have a show schedule, like the WP Blab,
Mm-hmm.
and I would pick a topic. And I would have something very specific to go to. I would have posts lined up. It was all to drive traffic to my site. Even if there wasn't a monetary call to action, there was depth of info, and I'm to show off my expertise. I'm not going to say I'm an expert, but to show off my helpfulness to people and hook them in one way or another. For that. And then in the questions and whatever, it's like, just keep sending them to my resources. And I'm constantly sending, and I would watch the traffic explode to my site. And that's the whole point of microblogging on Twitter and Facebook and all that. It's always to get that traffic back to your site. And that's what I was doing during the show and in the replay, because embedding that into my posts, I would have the show notes just like I do for a podcast. And it's constantly sending these people digging deeper and deeper and deeper into what I offer, and finding what they need. But for some of them, like the ones that I did on the how may I help you, or the open Q&A, ask me anything, or whatever, I was constantly sending them to my resources. Hey, you want a site audit? I've got money directly to that, but it was in response to their questions, so it doesn't sound like an ingenuous pitch. And the whole thing is not a pitch. With Facebook Live, one of the things that I found is making the post in the first place before you go live, and putting links in right there, so that when people are watching it live or people are seeing it in their stream, there's text above that post. I don't wait to do it in the video later. I do it right there, and it takes more time. It's harder to do, blah, blah, blah. I'm getting my workflow and all of that. Right this second, and of course, anybody watching this in replay, it may not be true by the time you see this or whatever. Right this second, I cannot put a CTA button on a video of any kind. And, Facebook is like all these platforms, they change things. They bring it, they take it away, they change it, they might, whatever. I found another way. It doesn't matter. Find another way. Don't complain. You and I did a show on that about, let's not complain about what isn't. Let's make use of everything that is. and I can go right on. So I put my CTA in there like a promo for this.
Mm-hmm.
Come join me right after this is over. Catch the replay. Don't take that down, but
Right.
you have to go through your workflow of making it evergreen. So some of the promos I do coming up, but if I want them to last a little longer, then I'm going to modify what I say. And, Denise, that just takes practice.
Yes, I agree.
I don't get it right the first time either about that, and I'm learning, but I do them every day, and I give it thought, and the next day I do better, and the next day I do better, and a month or two from now, I'm going to have this stuff down, and
Right.
I'm going to be able to do Facebook Lives that really, really work. I don't feel like I'm even there yet because it's still new. They work now. They're getting more engagement than anything else. Constantly
Right.
get the little notices that say this is performing 95% better than everything else you've got.
Well, Facebook is giving live video the highest priority in the news stream. I mean, even the replays, they still get some engagement, but it drops off as soon as the video is a replay. I mean, that's kind of what people seem to be seeing.
Right.
And it'll change again.
Well, another thing that I decided to do is not pin it right away because on mobile, you can't see the pinned post. And I want them to see it in my stream, and then later on, I'll pin it.
Right.
Right.
Okay, before we go to questions, I've forgotten to lock the seat, but so you can come back. You can come back in a minute. What are a few tips for people who want to get started with either Blab or Facebook Live? They're two very different animals. I have to say, people will often say, "Oh, should I do Blab or Facebook Live?" I'm like, it's not an either or; it's an and. But
or Periscope or Snapchat or YouTube Live and I think YouTube Connect is coming. It doesn't matter. The thing
so what are your tips for people who want to get started?
Pick one. Turn on your phone, turn on your camera, and just do it. You're not going to be comfortable. You're going to feel like you don't know what you're doing. You're going to feel like it's horrible and whatever. Me too. Denise too. It doesn't matter. Just start. You've got and Denise, this is your mantra if anything is. Just do it. Just start. Just make it, get over yourself if you do that first and you commit to it. Whatever it is, you commit to it.
Yeah.
And I'm working out my workflow, too. Here's the thing. No matter what you cut your teeth on, you'll be ready for the next one. Like now I can't wait to get on Periscope because I'm going to take everything I know from Blab, everything I know from Facebook, put it on Periscope. Now, there are people already on Periscope who've kind of figured out that workflow and whatever. I'm going to find them. I'm going to watch them. But I have a foundation. I have a basis to understand what's going on. Blab and Facebook are very different animals. And so I've had to change how I do things for that. But I already have gear. I've already been in front of the camera. All that intangible stuff that you take with you no matter where you go, no matter what. Snapchat, go in there for 15 seconds. Hey, everybody, I'm on Snapchat. Leave it at that. Don't worry about coming up with something profound to say. I get on there, and you do too, Denise. You say, hey, I'm checking out such and such, and I'm having fun.
Yeah, exactly. And I still have issues, I'm still trying to work things out. MaAnna's still trying to work things out. Again, it's really just experiment because nothing bad's going to happen to you.
Right. One of the people that really inspired me was Jay Baer. And he did a Jay Today. And he couldn't keep up with every day either. And he's in conferences and doing talks and all kinds of things everywhere. And he would just get out his phone. And this is before the live streaming came along. He would just get out his phone, tell you what was top of mind that was important to him. It wasn't rehearsed or anything. It was top of mind. And he just shot it up, uploaded it to Facebook or wherever. And the minute he did that, I said, I love that so much, I'm going to steal it. And I've wanted to do that ever since. And Facebook Live for me has been the way to do that instead, because the process of uploading videos and all of that work and whatever, Facebook Live got rid of that.
Right.
And it's there and it's instant. And now I've got a workflow on the back side of what I can do with it, with putting it on YouTube and repurposing it and but it made it easy to do in the first place. So that's what I'm saying. Facebook Live is a great way. You can broadcast to only yourself.
Exactly. So you can test it without anybody knowing or seeing it.
Right.
I mean, how cool is that?
And then if you got some, hey, that's perfect, then you can go back and change your privacy settings and broadcast it, and it's like, hey, how about that? So
that's a great tip. That's a great tip. I hope y'all caught that. Broadcast to yourself. If it works great, sounds great, looks great, then change your privacy settings.
Yeah. Simple as it can be. So you can do 20 of them in the one take that was great. You just change the privacy setting on it or whatever. And, there's just a lot of fun things you can do with it after that. But that's why I started teaching a course, because of this workflow. Just and I did this with Blab. Here's how you can do it by yourself. Test things out. Make sure you're comfortable. And so you walk into it gradually, and you just baby steps into this. And so that you're comfortable first. And
right.
I think really, if you're expected to produce something slick and that's great and whatever the first time out, that's just such a deterrent. It's a deterrent for me. It's a deterrent for you. It's not, don't feel alone if you feel that way. That's everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Join the club.
Right. Right. So, do it in a way that you can do it privately. Just commit. Just commit, no matter how you feel, just commit. Take that step and just keep taking them. And if you have to look at the steps the whole time you're climbing the mountain, then do it. Who cares?
That's right.
And then things like getting into these courses, getting in with Denise, getting into my courses, whatever you need to do in a safe environment where you can have people who've been there too, who understand how that feels, who can give you constructive feedback. No criticisms, but to be there to support, to say, yay, you're first one, and just cheerlead, and don't care what it looks like, don't care how it sounds, just say, yay, and celebrate the fact that you're in the world, you're in the video marketing world, and celebrate with you.
Yeah,
that's important.
Excellent. I've opened up the seat. If you want to come on and ask questions directly to MaAnna, we'd love to have you if you want to.
And I've been seeing these comments flying by and whatever, and thank y'all, everybody who's saying nice things about me. Thank you. Well,
one, you're an excellent teacher. You have very deep knowledge, and your knowledge is based on testing and trial. And that to me are, the biggest things when I choose somebody I want to take a class with. And have put in a link to MaAnna's Facebook Live course, because I recommend everything she does, because it's bite-sized, it's simple to understand, and you can do it while she's telling you what to do. So if you want to try that, and what it is like, it's so inexpensive, it's not even worth thinking about.
Yeah, the videos are like 3 minutes each, so that you can just do one thing.
Right.
Hit that. And then next video. And I'm not fluff. I'm not in there hyping stuff. Mine is click here, do that, put this in, done.
Yeah.
That's the way I teach. I don't do a bunch of fluff. Now, if there are things where you need to make a decision and whatever, then I'll say, okay, so you need to decide how you want to do this, and then I'll just move right along. But I'll tell you those kind of things. And I'm updating this as I go, as things change. Because look, that's inevitable. Facebook is the big one. And it's the most socially connected of all these. And they are 100% committed to video. And guys, these are the days of the Wild West. And if I had another tip to tell anybody is about getting started sooner rather than later, and I don't want to go into detail about this, but we have seen things rise and fall. Okay. That's never going to stop. And we've seen that with how many platforms, Denise? You and I talked about it, 40, 50 platforms that have come and gone.
A lot.
And some of them stick around, and some of them are big and whatever it is. But here's the thing, Denise, how many people do you think you picked up on Blab? I picked up about 900 new people. And, here's the thing, just right away, boom, picked up a ton of people that I didn't know or hadn't met. And then I strengthened relationships with a lot of other people. And Blab may be kind of in a coming down the other side of the roller coaster.
We don't really know what's happening with Blab.
Right. It doesn't matter. I picked all these people up. They're locked into me. Take them wherever we are. I learned that from you, Denise. You take them wherever you are, no matter what happens. But getting in while it's hot.
Exactly.
And so if you cut your teeth on something, then you're ready for next. So whatever the next thing that comes along and it's hot, we're ready to go. And
this is something I really want you to get, is that you start wherever you are, right? For me, I started on Google Hangouts because that's what was there. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. And I started 3 years ago. This show, Adventures in Visibility, I started doing in April 2013.
Right.
And, when Blab came on and I tried it, I did a test. I was already, I had all my process going on Google Hangouts, but I did a test on Blab and I went, oh my God, this is so much easier. And I didn't even say goodbye to Google Plus. I just came over here. But because I had a process and I knew how to promote my shows and I knew how to do a show, it didn't matter what the platform was. I just had to learn what to click. I still could bring my whole audience came with me, and I got a new audience.
Right.
And with Facebook Live, what MaAnna said, this is what I want you to understand. What MaAnna said is Facebook has a built-in audience. They have 1.2 billion active users on Facebook. Right. You don't have to promote out to Twitter or wherever. I mean, you can, and I always do. But when you go live, it's in the news feed of your followers and friends. It's there. It's self-promoted. Who doesn't like that?
Right.
It's exciting.
And that's why they're the gorilla. They're the elephant. They're the big one. And they're going to remain the big one because no matter what else comes along, even, Google dropped the ball on it with HOAs to have Google Plus as the social backing. That's what separates it. So no matter what their tech is, maybe you can't do this 2-person interview thing yet. We don't know what they're opening up to. It doesn't matter. The fact is you can't ignore them. You can't not do that. Because of the potential of the audience. You go where your people are, and that's the way it is with all content marketing of any kind. And this is just another form of content marketing.
Absolutely. And the thing is that, you want to, really pay attention to what MaAnna has achieved here, because just by going on live, whether it's Facebook Live or whether it's Blab, and answering people's questions. This is the biggest thing, answering people's questions live in the moment, just like that quote here below, is she's making money.
Right. Right.
She's making money.
I've seen, some people follow me for a year before they hire me. With Blab, it's almost instantaneous because it's authentic, it's powerful, it's transparent. I've got the answer. They feel confident that I can help them. And I don't know how many blog posts. It takes a year's worth of blog posts to do that same thing.
Well, it's accelerating the know, like, and trust factor. It just accelerates it because there's no real barrier. Even though, I'm looking at you on a computer monitor through a webcam, I feel like we're in the same room together. And anybody who's watching this feels like they're with us too, and they could come on this open seat if they wanted to and ask you a question directly, and we would say hi, and your face would be you would be on the video, on the video replay, because I embed these shows onto my blog so that you can keep getting value. I mean, my thing is repurposing everywhere, which we won't go into because we have other shows about that. but
I do want to speak to that, though. Any content that you create can be repurposed too. It's not just, your text content. And that's my next big thing. That's actually my next course that's already on the drawing board. Is of all these different video platforms, how do you use each individual one? The tech of that, the best way for you to repurpose and set up this system so it's all cookie cutter. And it's like, oh God, I can't take one more thing to do. You can't afford not to. I can't. That's the way I look at this. that mindset of it's too much time. I can't take on another thing. I can't afford not to take on every video thing that there is. There's that much money. They said that the video industry stuff, what did I read the other day? Are online courses too. And this promotes right into that, teaching people live. It's not just somebody buying a course. There are ways that you can set up privately to do this kind of video stuff and getting all your gear, getting used to being on camera, doing all this. There's money in it all over the place, billions of dollars of money.
Well, there's the Zoom platform, for example. And, I am doing all my teaching on Zoom now. I have a Mastermind group that I facilitate that we meet live on Zoom. And so we're all on video together, and it makes for a much more intimate and powerful time together versus just me lecturing over a phone or against slides. I can be live on the video with people answering their questions, and that's private. And to me, that also, like, the technology has it advances. It continues to advance and advance and advance. To me, it's like 100 times better than GoToWebinar and all the machinations you have to go with like Webinar Jam connecting with Google Hangouts. To me, that was it was always a problem. Now I use Zoom and it's never a problem.
Right.
So, I like Webinar Jam. It worked for me, but Zoom is easier.
Right. And sometimes easier works. Sometimes it's worth going into more tech to find other ways to make things work, or hiring some help to, help you set things up and that kind of thing. If it's just more than you can take on or want to do or whatever, and get some training for it. And that's the thing, people say, why in the world are you making a Facebook Live course? It's so easy to do. You just go on your phone and go live. And it's like, well, not if you want to make money.
Yeah.
Anybody can go part of it. The tech part of it can seem pretty easy, but the more I work with it, the more I find 14 different ways to do things and to beef up what I'm doing and get more engagement. There's more to it than just being on camera and what you say. And there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And sometimes you have to go around your elbow to get to your hand to be able to do some of the things and find your route and whatever. So it really comes down to how much do you want to accelerate that learning curve? Because, in my courses, my whole point of it is not to pitch y'all on it, but I'm saying I'm doing this stuff for a reason. I would love to have saved the 20 hours I've spent investigating it so that you can sit down and in 1 hour go from novice to pro. I would have bought a course had there been one. I did actually look into one other person's course, and I got 5 minutes of actual help, and the whole rest of it was hours of fluff.
Right.
It was awful.
Right. And there's a lot of people out there who have Facebook Live courses now. I mean, people know what to jump onto. And so it's a matter of finding, the person who you trust, and, to teach you something that you can use. I mean, I do the same thing. If I need to accelerate my learning curve, I invest in it. There's no doubt about it. It's like my mastermind group is now also, I'm trying to move them away from a Facebook group into Slack, which is a group communication tool. And so I bought a course on Slack because I don't have time to figure it all out. I spent $20 so I could go straight to the, the advanced, how do I use it, because I can figure it out, but I want to know the secret tricks.
Exactly. I'm looking here through some of these comments too, and if people they may not want to jump on camera with us, so I'm going through some of these. You're saying about my Blab course. The reason I love live streaming is that I'm learning about her in a way all the teaching videos I have watched of her don't convey her as a real person, but live streaming is such a powerful medium. So, even if you're seeing me in the courses, that's actually scripted. Most of my courses are scripted so that I can stay right on point and get you, a lot of and go back and do stuff and whatever. And this is me. This is me.
Well, there's a time and a place for a script.
Exactly.
If somebody's buying something from me and expecting to get a specific result, better believe I'm going to be really like on top of making sure they get that result, right?
Exactly.
And not going off on tangents. Whereas having an interview with someone is, a very different way of conveying information. So whatever.
I'm reading some of the comments here that say, the upfront and knowledgeable. I mean, that is what people. I'm reading those comments not to pat my own back with them, but to say that is what people are vibing with when you come on to do these things is your your authority on your topic and whatever too, and your willingness to help people and get right to what their issue is and help them solve it right there. So, I'm reading through the rest of the comments. And people are saying too, if you're made up too much and polished and whatever, Denise, I really think that being a little more casual now and whatever does look more real because of the culture of it has come down. And if you're too slick, people think you're snake oil salesman now too, right?
Well, I wouldn't want that.
Yeah. So, slick. Now, look, if you're doing a promo for a course or whatever like that, then yeah, you may need to slick up that production just a little bit. Come on, it is what it is. But I think
people have different expectations on, when they're shelling out money. Especially to somebody you may not know personally in any way, you want to know that they know what they're doing. And very often production value is an indicator of that. I mean, that's one of those things that can support that. Exactly. Right. It's our judgments that are playing in the background. And so this all goes back to like, what's the purpose? What are your goals with how you're using video? Because there are so many different ways to do it. This is one kind of video. A Facebook Live is another kind of video. A Google Hangout is another kind of video. A tutorial on Udemy is a completely different kind of video, and it can't be like this. They won't let you have it be like this. So
exactly. Hadid's asking, how long do you have to stay on Facebook Live to get the engagement? A while. And a lot of the ways that I've been using it is for promotion. And I don't care if anybody sees me in that moment or not. I'm certainly not going to stay on long enough for people to engage because I think that takes 9 or 10 minutes. And I'm not going to just promote this show. It's like, hey, y'all come see me. The whole point of it was you see me in the stream, getting the call to action, having the link and going there. And that was the goal of it. It wasn't to get live engagement. What I think I'm going to do is the Ask Me Anything show, the How May I Help You on Facebook. And I'm going to stream as long as the thing will allow me to, because some of those shows I've gone an hour and a half on Blab. Now,
I've heard that they have like round the clock streaming now.
Right. And so, of course, I don't want to do that kind of marathon, but I think I do want to just stay on there. Just pick a day where I can stay on for an hour, 2 hours and do the How May I Help You? And just do that randomly for the fun of it, because people are coming and going. They're not going to stay there for the whole thing, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
It's and not, you can also doing it on my phone. It's not easy for me to share links and give them the help that I need and whatever. And so I may have to, Denise, before doing that, I may have to do this OBS thing where I can be on camera, be on my computer so I can get those links. That is the holdup for me for doing a show. But because so many of my answers do require links to videos and to other things that I just can't do that on a phone. So I may set it up for that reason. And, I haven't tried scheduling a show, doing a promo or something and letting people know I'm going to be on at a certain time.
Well, that's the next step, right?
Them to for that. So those are my next 2 steps with Facebook Live and staying on a whole lot longer to see what happens. The only thing I don't like about it is you can't see who's with you until they say something.
Yeah. Well, it's different, right? So we are at the top of the hour. I let this conversation go on because, MaAnna has so much great information. But I think it's time for the final question. You know what it is. I would love to know what your most memorable adventure has been. And as you know, it can be anything: business, life, love, travel, whatever.
When I was in my 20s, I would take a sabbatical when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would take a sabbatical every year. And I kept going further and further and further into the wilderness, so to speak, of being totally alone for that time. It was very much a spiritual calling discipline thing that I did. And one that I took was in the San Cristobal Mountains of New Mexico. I prepared for that for 3 months prior to going. And I was 11,000 feet up on a mountain, on a sacred mountain, all by myself. And in that whole journey, when I came down, I hadn't seen myself in a few days, and so many things happened while I was there. People were even looking at me, and I wondered if I had white hair or something, going on. I was very different when I came down from that. People regarded me and treated me differently from that too. And I won't go into all the details about that. I even started writing a book about it. And the whole time that I was in New Mexico, because I stayed there for another week, traveling the state, didn't have any plans, didn't have a map, didn't have anything. And it was an adventure beyond words. I thought I was dead 3 times. Let me put it that way. My life was on the line 3 times during that. And it changed me. And I was in my 20s, and my life turned that in a kind of a different direction because of the vibe around me, in me, through me. Everything changed with that. So most definitely the most memorable adventure. I mean, I still have it on my calendar and celebrate the day that I took that journey. And that was about 30 years ago.
Wow.
And my life is what it is today, I believe, because of the pivot that happened during that journey. I don't take sabbaticals. I don't have the kind of life I need to do that with now. I can do it daily, kind of thing. But most definitely my best adventure. And New Mexico truly is the land of enchantment.
Oh, it's
an
amazing place, New Mexico. It's absolutely one of the most gorgeous places. I always thought I would retire there if I ever do something like retire.
Right.
So, my father lived there for a long time. So, well, thank you for sharing that. This is like my favorite question of the whole, interview, because it gives us a glimpse, of something else besides our businesses. So anyway, I want to thank you so much, MaAnna, for spending your time here with me today and with the audience today, and sharing what you're doing with live video. I think that, for everybody who's watching live and watching the replay, there's just really important message here of, trying it, going for it, just do it, because video marketing really is, where we're headed online, and it doesn't have to be difficult or scary. And, we can follow up these questions around that, like equipment and stuff like that. But it really is a great way to intimately connect with your audience. What's the best place for people to find you online?
Blogaid.net.
Blogaid.net. All right. Now, you can get advance notice of scheduled guests for Adventures in Visibility. All you have to do is go to adventuresinvisibility.com and sign up, and you'll be on the first to know list of when I'm scheduling new guests and what our topics will be. Also, if you prefer to listen to the show, you can find it at adventuresinvisibilitypodcast.com, and it is iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud. So whatever your preference is for podcasts, you can listen there too once it gets rendered and all that stuff. And I think that's it.
Thank you so much for having me today. I loved it. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. And have an adventurous day, everyone.
Woohoo!